Hello everyone and welcome back to Farming Simulator 22. We're back here in Elm Creek with Grober Games. So last episode we finished all our spraying. Today I didn't realize, last episode I didn't realize that the chicken barn was not quite as expensive as I thought it was. We're actually just a few $1,000s off. So what I ended up doing this episode is I picked up a few end of the year baling contracts. We got a few neighbors who want to do some high moisture hay and turn it into silage, so that's what we're gonna do here. So I've already sent the truck up to the field with the flatbed trailer. We're gonna get rid of the front weight on this tractor. We're gonna put the normal tires back on with wheel weights, so that way we can have a better time picking up the hay bales, the silage bales, I should say. Whoop. Almost went into the pit there. We're gonna get that squared away, and then we're gonna get the loader attached, and then we're gonna run on down to the shop where we should have some equipment waiting for us already. Where's wheel weights? There we go. So let's get this fired back up, and we'll get our loader attached to this thing. Well, yeah, we'll head on down there and we'll get some end of the year high moisture hay baled to turn into silage and get that taken care of for our neighbors. And we'll also make enough money out of it that we should be able to put up our chicken barn this winter. And the next time you'll probably see me is next spring, which we don't have a whole lot going on next spring, to be honest with you. We got all our crops in already for next year, which is kind of a weird feeling to me, especially since it's not something normal for around these parts of where I live at. But yeah, we'll do some high moisture. Oh, excuse me. We'll do some high moisture. Had to mess with some mic settings there. I was peeking out of red a lot, I noticed in recording. But we're gonna do some high moisture hay for a couple of neighbors here. Get that taken care of. Let's pull on in here. And we'll get this. And I still haven't filled the tractor up yet. Make sure I do that today. Whoop. That was not supposed to happen. Having a little goof ups already. But I don't think, I looked at the radar before when they were predicting the rain that's coming today. I don't think we're gonna make it before the rain gets here, but it'll be okay because like I said, we're making some high moisture silage. Great job. We'll send you right there. Get the helper going on that. Then we'll hop into the Fent we're borrowing over here. Get the mower and stuff. Blocked by an object. What are they? Seems the helpers are having a little bit of issue. Let me see if I can fix that quick before. Okay. Try that again. Great job. Let's travel right there. Start job. What is going on here? You know what? We'll take that up ourselves. We can. Oh. Let's set a destination. Have them go right there. Hopefully that one can. There we go. Oh, nope. Forgot to hook up the. Having all sorts of issues already. Not looking good. Like a good start to finish out the rest of our day. Let's see here. Let's try this one more time with feeling. Oh no. Let's set destination. Have you go right there. No more issues. Hopefully. There we go. But yeah, we'll get this stuff hauled up there. I never really done a lot of high moisture hay in my life. I actually don't think we've done any, if I remember right, for my folks. Well, actually we did do some one fall, and then we did some high moisture oatlage is what it was called. So I think it's been about, I want to say almost 10 years ago. I don't feel like it's been that long, but it might have been. But basically around here we had such a wet spring that almost no one got any crops in that spring. So a lot of people ended up doing some cover crops. So we actually, my folks sold a little bit of rye to some of our neighbors because we usually keep rye seed on hand for chopping the following spring, and then we would just have one of our neighbors come in and drill with their air seeder and drill some beans into the ground right after we get done harvesting it. And that year we ended up doing a lot of freaking drilling. My brother with like a 13-foot drill, I think it was. It was a Great Plains drill, not a big one, and he ended up doing a lot of drilling that year. Apparently our helper is still having issues, but first, let's get this out of the way. I don't know why our helpers thought it'd be okay to block off the road with the trailer and just leave it there. Gotta keep everyone happy. And apparently, I am just having issues again with helpers. This is what I get for doing baling contracts, I'm feeling like now. Anyways. And it's starting to rain already, and we're not even cutting yet. Anyways, so back to it. So we ended up doing we drilled in quite a bit of rye, and then we ended up having one of the cooperatives around us coming out with their spreaders and top spreading some fertilizer with some oats in for a cover crop at one of the fields we didn't get planted, and we ended up cutting it and baling it that fall. And it took quite a while to cut all the oatage we put down, or oats we put down to turn into oatage. And it took about 2 to 3 days to get all the cutting done. And we only have like a little 830 Moco John Deere disc bine. And I remember, one of the things I do remember is I went out and did the first day of cutting. I can't remember what I did the following days that I didn't do it again, but I went out and started cutting early that morning. I had to haul the tractor all the way up there because this is up at my grandmother's ground. And that ground's not super close to our farm. It's probably like a 20-minute drive in a normal car vehicle for going about 60 miles an hour and such. So it took quite a bit of time to get up there with that tractor. I was using, we have a 2105 white, which is an oldie but a goodie. And thankfully that tractor has heat in it. That's the only thing it does have. It doesn't have AC or anything like that. It does, but it doesn't work. And I ended up spending most of the day, almost all day, exclusively just cutting that field. And the field had about half-mile long rows up there. And that evening, my brother, after milking, my brother was coming up to relieve me. And I didn't tell him this when he was coming up to relieve me. I just recently hit a skunk, so it was starting to kind of stink a little, but not too bad at the point, because he showed up shortly just after I hit it, so I wasn't starting to smell it yet, so I didn't think it was going to be that bad. But the next morning, he kind of gave me an earful, calling me a rotten you know what, for not letting him know I hit a skunk and just letting him deal with it for the rest of the night. But you know, that's the way things go sometimes. And I do know one of the other days that he had his bud come out and help us, and he was cutting up there, and he accidentally hit a rock up there and busted up the disc spine. Nothing he could do, or it's nothing his fault. We didn't end up picking the rocks out of that field. We ended up having our neighbor come up with a roller to roll the seed in after it got top spread, because after having that super wet spring, it was a very hot and dry summer. Like, it was just insane, the weather we were having for that year, just to go from extremely wet to where we couldn't get anything in, to the point where if anything was in, it was suffering from a drought. And then we ended up baling everything. We have our own big square baler, a Heston, and we ended up baling it all. My brother's friend was running the baler, and I was out up there with one of our skid loaders loading the bales on the trucks and trailers. And it ended up, just a second here, let's get this guy started on raking at least. So we ended up hauling one of our skid loaders up there, and I was the one in charge of loading all the trucks and trailers. And it was a bitterly cold day that day. I remember that much. And we ended up having 3 trucks and trailers going back and forth to the farm, hauling the bales we just made back there so we could start wrapping it. We ended up renting a wrapper from one of our Mennonite neighbors, and he was over running it for us. Oh, and my brother was basically loading the bales on there with the other skid loader, and he was going to be in charge of taking care of milking that evening, because my father he was out combining the last of our beans in late November, which is kind of a weird thing to say, because you don't think about doing beans that late in the time of year normally, at least around here. And one of the reasons that was because we ended up planting July beans in that field, because that field recently just came out of the CRP program for the government. So basically it had grass in it and such for the X amount of years, and it just was coming out, so we had to plant something in it that year. Otherwise we weren't going to be able to farm it. So we ended up planting soybeans in July, and if I remember right, they yielded pretty decently. I think they did around 50 to 55 that year, which is not, in reality, is not the greatest, but for July beans, we felt like that was pretty dang good, and they were coming out dry too, so we really couldn't complain. And I was, like I said, I was out stuck loading all the bales. My mother was running one of the pickups, and then we had one of our cousins. He borrowed a trailer from someone to help move bales, and then we had our neighbor with their truck and trailer helping us. And one of the things that kind of shocked me, and I never really thought about that I would make that much of a difference, but all the trailers were tandem axles, but our one neighbor, he only had like single tires on them, so to speak, so they're not like tandem like the one you'll see that I have in game here. And I can't believe how much of a huge difference that made that day for loading bales, because I could not load that truck and trailer nearly as heavy, because it was just too much weight for that trailer to handle, especially on the tires, and we didn't want to have any issues with the tires blowing out on the road or anything like that. So ended up having to load that one a little lighter. But it was a very bitterly cold day. We had our older skid loader out there, and the reason we had to have the older skid loader out there is because the newer skid loader we had at the time, it has heat and AC and such, but the older skid loader does not have the boom height to reach over the top of the TMR mixer we had, so I had to dress really warm that day, and there was some times when that wind got going, it really cut through everything. There wasn't much to do I could do to stop it. But overall, that day was relatively smoothly. My brother's friend, the same one that cut the oats for us a few days before, the only issue we have was that he lost his phone somewhere out in the field. How he lost it was like, I'm guessing he had it in his coat pocket or something. And one of the things we had to do was that once in a while, the big square baler will pick up like little pebble-sized rocks, nothing super damaging to it. And we would have to go underneath the baler to clean out where they get stuck at, because it would mess with the sensors in the baler and start throwing off the numbers and the count of how many flakes were in the bale and such like that. So and one of the times he got out to clean that part out, he realized he lost his phone somewhere in the field. And when you have about an 80 to 100 acre field with half-mile long rows, it's kind of hard to figure out where exactly you lost your phone at, especially with that much distance. And at the time when he realized he lost it, he didn't know how long he's been missing it. But just another one of those interesting, memorable experiences from living on the farm and helping out there. But thought I'd share it with you all today. But I think from here on out, we'll jump into a little time lapse here. Get this all cut. We're almost done cutting with this field already, so it won't take that long. But I think next episode we'll be jumping into April, and by that point we should have our chicken barn put up. I'll have all our own grass sown into that field that we'll no longer be using, so all the soil doesn't erode away this winter, and we get a nice establishment of grass here in the spring. So I'll see you guys at the end of this all. Well, looks like it's gonna keep raining all day. The first load I didn't look the greatest, but you know what? It made it. That's all that matters. Enough tie downs and tension belts. We got her in one piece there, and we got almost 10 grand extra income from all those extra bales we sold there. And then I imagine we'll have a few extra from this one here. At least I hope. Otherwise, I might be in deep trouble. I should have put them in a little bit more slowly, but you know what? If I end up paying for it in the end, it is what it is. But I think we should be okay. See if we can sneak them off here. Yep, I accidentally screwed up. I thought the biogas plant was the one. Well, you know what? That's fine. We didn't get 7 grand there, but we did. I feel bad. I should have kept a little bit closer track, but you know what? We didn't get penalized for it this time around. I might have to go in and fix that, but the good news is we finally got enough money for our chicken barn, so I think we're gonna head on home for the night. We'll probably leave the tractor up there. We don't have a real reason to bring it home in the dark tonight. And I don't think we'll have to worry about anyone messing with it. I don't think it's that common a thing around here. At least I haven't heard any stories yet, but we got enough money for our chicken barn finally. We'll have enough to buy a few chickens too. I haven't decided if I'm going to just completely fill the whole barn or just do partial and get a few roosters and breed some of my own layers, but we'll see how much income we have left at the end of it all. And I think the next time you'll see me will be in the month of April. I think we're going to jump ahead to the month of April again, just because nothing usually happens during the winter. It's nothing too interesting or entertaining, so to speak. We don't really have any produce to sell since we sold it all last episode. Just walk over here, see how the greenhouse is doing quick for water. I think it's still pretty good yet. Oh yeah, we got plenty. We got 10,000, a little over 10,000 liters of water yet, so episode's gonna be a little longer than normal, but talking about those stories sometimes does that. First thing I want to say is thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the episode, give it a thumbs up. If you're enjoying the content, subscribe to the channel so you can keep up to date with everything. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day, and most of all, thanks for watching.